We're all living in the same world, right? We're all seeing the same shit, right? We're all hearing the same shit, right? We're all watching all this shit unfold right in front of our eyes, right? You can't keep pretending that what you're seeing, what you're what you're hearing, what you're even being told, and what you're also being told not lining up with everything else that's obvious. You can't pretend it's not happening anymore. It's not just somewhere else, okay? It's not somewhere else. It's everywhere. It's everything, everywhere, all at once. About time you bloody wake up yourselves, I tell you. Me, I'm not phased. I'm good. Me and the kids are good. We're fine. But, you know, some of you people I actually care about. And I definitely care about those who you don't seem to give a flying fuck about. Your own kids.
Hey, what's good? The world is getting more crazier than ever every single day that passes as we wait for the return of Jesus Christ. My wife just came home from work today and told me that the company that she's been with for over 20 years, or nearly 20 years, will be downsizing and eliminating 70% of its workforce. Now, this just goes to show a couple things. One, that there's no such thing as job security. And two, your company doesn't care about you for the most part. And three, that within a very short period of time from now, the vast majority of jobs will be replaced by universal basic income, a one world government, a one world digital currency, and artificial intelligence will be replacing the bulk of jobs. Now, I don't know exactly how this is going to pan out for my wife within the next 6 to 12 months. Hopefully, like I said, we're going to be brushing off her resume and doing what we got to do what we got to do, you know? But it just goes to show that the direction that this is becoming more and more a reality for so many of you guys, for so many people out there, that a job loss that's happening out of your own control. It's different if, like, you just quit your job, right? And you don't have something lined up. And, you know, a lot of people, I did that in my 20s. You know, I was just going from job to job, just, I don't like it, just quitting up and leaving. Like, we've all been there, right? And the older you get, the more wiser you get. And, you become in a solid routine. Typically, hopefully, you get to that point when you're in your 40s. But it just goes to show that nothing is guaranteed. But death and taxes.
I'm gonna put that there. Funny, because we've all was there. I was there. I was a bit of a job puncher. Usually based around ethics. Sometimes it was based around how somebody else got treated. I think I'm going to treat that like that. I don't want to work for this company. Why? Because you don't treat people like that. Simple as that. You don't single someone out all the time just because they're the easy one to yell at. That was me at one point. It's funny, I'll probably get along alright with him now. I've heard he's mellowed out and I've matured a little bit. But, just goes to show, they want, all the companies, all of them, they all want loyal workers. What about loyal employers? They want loyal employees. You don't owe anything to anyone when it comes to your job. You do what you got to do, boo. You do what you got to do, because they don't give a flying fig about you.
There's no such thing as job security. And as we get into this new phase of reality that will become a thing within the next couple of years, I believe the only jobs that will be on the tail end, that will be the last to go, that will be the last to be replaced, will be the trades. Plumbing, plumbers, electricians, pipe fitters, roofers, construction workers, welders. These types of jobs will be also eliminated by the beast system, but I think that they will be one of the last ones to go for sure, because the vast majority of people don't want to get into the trades for whatever reason. I don't know, because a lot of young men today should go into a trade. If I was in my 20s again, just right out of high school, I probably would have bypassed the military and not gone into the military and just went straight into a trade school. That's probably what I would have done, for sure. But things are getting so crazy, guys, that
Voltaren Pain Relief Gel 12 hourly reduces inflammation at the source, penetrating the skin 3 times faster and providing long-lasting pain relief.
The beast system.
The beast system, us tradies are building it now. Well, I'm not at the moment, but I know I've had a fairly good hand in it over the past. It's something that's been being built for a long, long time. Things like desalination plants and Olympic Dam, Roxby Downs, all the mining stuff. We've been building this for a long time, guys. We've had a hand in our own demise, and we weren't even told. And this is the argument that I was having with Mariners. Oh, there'll be jobs. Yeah, temporary. Very temporary. Thing is that people go into these jobs and never told how long it goes for. Classic example, Ron G's. Hang on, I've got to do the math. 2005. 2 massive big carbon-based, carbon fiberglass, anti-static chemical settling tanks for New Caledonia, I do believe. We built at Ron G's. I was on that crew. Started to get towards the end there, and nobody actually knew how many tanks were being built, what other contracts were coming, what contracts weren't coming. Can't remember the exact numbers. I think it was 23 of us. 23 people on a Friday got a DCM. Well, 22. And I got told at Moore and Smoko that I was probably on the list. They knew I had a baby coming. My boy Daniel. I've been so loyal to them. I ran one of their workshops. What was the thanks I got? Don't come Monday. Gotta love them DCMs, don't you? So, but I hadn't received it. Now apparently it was a joke. Real funny, Titsy. Real fucking funny, cunt. C words. Because on that I went, I got a baby coming, like in a couple of months. Family I've got to try and set up and support. Financial obligations. I've got to wait 3 months before I can get the dole probably. Because it was, getting a separation certificate from these guys can be a struggle. So I thought I'll make sure I get a separation certificate. And I went to the toilet right next to the manager's office and had a cigarette and got myself the sack. Fired. Smoking in the toilets out of designated break time. Didn't seem I had any other choice. The fact of the matter is, I actually wasn't the only one that had kids coming, and they were all good, solid workers, and nobody was given any notice that the contract was coming to an end or that there wasn't a contract to replace it. Stiff shit Charlie.
And everything for the beast system is already ready to go. It just needs to flip the switch. The technology is there for a one global currency. It's just the switch needs to happen for the biggest crash
Not quite, mate.
the world has ever seen.
Not quite.
And
Not quite. Australia's not ready yet. We haven't got Pauline in yet. We haven't got the council completely on board yet in Burnie for the digital smart city that hooks up to this via Marinus. Yeah, I've got the good oil on it. I know what's happening. I know. Ken spilt the beans. Between Ken and Giovanna Simpson. They didn't have to say much. They just had to say the wrong thing at the wrong time. Or was it the right thing at the right time? Bit late.
And the dollar is going to crash. The US dollar has to crash for this to happen. And it's going to happen here very soon. It's going to happen here very soon. Now, I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. I'm not saying for you to pull out all of your money out of the market. I'm not saying to do anything of the sort. I'm just saying the reality is something huge is about to happen in the global markets, because this whole false peace, false security, global peace that we're seeing left, right, and center, it's all an illusion, guys. It's all an illusion. You got to pull out of party politics, get out of Democrat versus Republican, get out of left versus right, get out of that rat race in the mind, because it's all lies. And for the most part, they're all on the same team, ran by the same person, who is Satan himself, ushering in this one global dominated a society and rule of a digital currency, a one world government, and a one world religion. And more jobs over the next 6 to 12 months are going to be eliminated by artificial intelligence. These companies are going to go under, no matter how big they are. It doesn't matter if they're a Fortune 500 company or not. My wife's company is a Fortune 500 company. In fact, I think it's within the first 100, I believe. First 50 or 100 companies. It doesn't matter. So we need to make sure that we are grounded in the Word of God, that our foundation is grounded upon Jesus Christ. Because Christ alone is the only way that we're going to get through and navigate the small tribulations in this life, not the great tribulation that we are not appointed for, which is God's wrath, that the church will be taken out of prior to, which I believe is soon, because we are on the cusp of the tribulation beginning. We're seeing the signs everywhere for that, and if you're truly a believer, I don't think you really have to be digging into the Word 8 hours a day to see that. You just feel it in your spirit that something big is about to happen.
Right.
A shift is about to happen.
Get free polarized lenses in your second pair. Hurry, offer ends February 28th.
Back in more BCFing summer fun. BCF and fun, hey!
And we're seeing the signs align in prophecy coming off the pages of the Bible, left, right, and center. And we know we're at the end. And the only thing that needs to happen is that switch to happen. That great reset to happen. The Agenda 2030 to happen. And that's only 4 years away. It's coming, guys. All jobs are going to be eliminated within the very soon foreseeable future. No job is secure. And the governments are going to give a false illusion of security. We'll take care of you. And we've seen some of this during the pandemic when they were giving out those stimulus checks that did worse for the economy. But you know that it's just a foreshadowing taste of the little breadcrumbs that they're going to give you, the governments are going to give to you to sustain your life, but have total control over your life. You will own nothing and be happy. Smart cities will be a reality in the very soon foreseeable future. Thankfully, those of us who have put our faith in the blood-bought sacrifice of Jesus Christ, we know that this life is temporary, that no matter what comes our way, no matter what life throws at us, no matter what challenges come our way, no matter how difficult they may seem, this is not our home. Something better is coming on the other side very, very soon. So if you're in a situation, if you're going through a similar trial right now of a possible job loss that's out of your control, just know that Jesus Christ has everything under control. And I pray that God blesses you and gets you into the right position that He needs you to be at.
Yeah, I don't care. I don't care what you think of me. I don't care if you think I'm cuckoo or whatever. Going along with this shit. Now that's cuckoo. It's funny how people will try and claw you back in. Oh, no, that won't hurt you. Don't comply, but this is alright, that's alright. But don't, mate, you're complying. Alright? Guys, playing with all your digital shit, saying I won't comply, you're already doing it. You've been doing it for ages. Have you been paying for things with your phone? Waving your phone over things to pay for shit? You're already there, you're done. You've already done it. The key card is the bridge. We do not have an agreed upon exchange value of exchange anymore. It is what it is, and you'll pay it or you won't have it. And you will use this to pay for it. No, I'm not interested in what you can do for me that'll save me money. People would rather now pay more for something than help somebody out. Oh, because I'll get a warranty. Ha! Ever heard of a concrete warranty? Once it leaves their concrete, warranty's done. It's about all the warranty's worth nowadays. It's about all the insurance is worth nowadays. It's gone. Where's your super? It's about to disappear. Bye bye, super. You see, when you go into war, governments take all that. It's called a wartime economy. They've been saving up and banking up for this for a long time. Bye bye, super. Bye bye, life savings. Bye bye, shiny rock assets that are sitting in a vault somewhere that you can't hold in your hands. Hey, Panda. You want to know why you can't get anything fixed in your housing places? They're not expected to last. They're not expected to... They're not broke. They've just got everything now. They've got all the money. Do you really think them fat greasy pigs in Queen Street in Melbourne don't have the money? All of this was given to them as a gift. Here, have it. Oh, it's still owned by Homes Tasmania. Who the fuck is Homes Tasmania? That's not the Commonwealth. They didn't pay for them. It's all been stolen. Everything has been stolen. There's nothing left. It's gone. What do you think this shit is between Japan and China, really? Japan is an ally of the United States. China, not so much. But gee, it's a bit of a worry that Larry Ellison set up all of China's surveillance and security systems, as well as Israel's, as well as the United States, as well as what's underneath the White House, which they have now openly admitted that entirety of everything under the White House, which is 5-6 times more than what you see above ground, is gone, and it's all updated digital data stuff and bunkers, and it's like 9 or 11 levels deep. We got something 11 levels deep up in Northern Territory. Jerusalem has 2 of them. It went. Now, we have a thing, and they're here in Tasmania, that you can find them little markings here and there, called the black cube. I'll come back to this, don't worry. I want to show you something. This is nuts. It'd be funny if it was funny, but it's not funny. Come with me. Just take a walk on the wild side, baby. Look at all them people praying to that black cube. What's black cube? Something to do with technology. What lives in the black cube? I'm telling you, there's something that lives in there. Black cubes. Black cube, black cube, black cube, black cube. Black cube. Creative intelligence. 6 billion of Iranian money. Black cube. Black cube, black cube. Why is everything black? Black rock, black cube, black stone. A former head of the Mossad has joined. Isn't that Dick Cheney? Christ, black cube. See where the black cube fits? Hello? Hello? By any means necessary. Oh, look at those two. I thought they were enemies. Ha! Okay. I'm not even playing here, guys. Black cube water sculptures. Black cube of Saturn. Saturn? Satan? Hello? Black cube. Constantine. 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 Think about it. The black cube of Saturn. Australia. Denmark. Manhattan. Santana. Facebook, black cube. Australia. It's an indoor outdoor sauna, is it? No. Gregor Schneider Cube, the artist information company, Black Cube. Australia is building Earth's black box that will record the demise of our civilization. Hello. Oh, man. My kids weren't decent God-fearing kids. I would feel so afraid, ashamed and guilty for having kids. I really would. Because, man, this world has done its best to lead them astray, hasn't it? The Black Cube Conspiracy. Yeah, the hidden cult. How long does that go for, I wonder?
Dishes.
Just like, let's see if it'll fit into this video.
Clean up greasy mess. One squirt is enough to get through all this stuff. They call me
Morning Fresh. Power through mess.
There's a brand new app from Service Tasmania for when there's a lot on your plate. Now you can do it easily.
The oldest.
Okay, we'll finish this video off. You know, we'll come back to that because this one's nearly done. Okay, it's really important that you get your head around these things, people. You think it's cuckoo, okay, but these people clearly don't. This is what the problem is. Even if it is cuckoo, you're about to get outsmarted by cuckoo. If that's what you think. Oh, it's cuckoo.
But we put
Bananas.
our eyes on things that are heavenly, because the things of this world, that includes our jobs, are just temporary. They're just temporary, and we know that something much better is on the other side waiting
Everybody dies. Everything dies. Everything must come to an end. At some point.
for us. Cling to Jesus Christ today. I hope you know him today, because he's the only answer to get you through and navigate the hard times of life that just brings you to your knees, whether it's a financial situation, a financial struggle, a job loss, whether it's, a painful divorce that you're going through, whether it's a health scare that you're going through. I get it. And Jesus sees it. And he's close to you. He's close to you. He loves you. He wants to help you navigate through this life and give you hope, give you peace. And we are seen righteous, and we are seen forgiven already in the eyes of Christ because of the finished work of what he did on the cross, the death, burial, and resurrection, and the blood sacrifice that he poured out. So we don't have to go through the wrath of God that is about to happen here very soon. So my prayer to you today is that things are getting crazy. And the things that we're seeing on the global stage, it's all a foreshadow of what is to soon come. And I believe here very soon, nobody's going to have a job. Because after the rapture of the church, the vast majority of jobs are going to be obsolete. Artificial intelligence is going to take over. You will take what they give you and be happy, up into, even including, take this mark if you want to participate in society. Now, thankfully, the church is not here to see that. But those people who are unbelievers, who after the rapture, who come to Christ, will reject that mark of the beast, reject that. Because they're already saved and sealed, and the Holy Spirit will give them the strength to endure. Endure with their faith. We need to lean more on Christ for our strength to get through the most difficult, painful moments of our lives that we don't have answers to, that seem unfair. And that will bring us to our knees, because in the end, Jesus Christ is all we have. And if you have Jesus, you have everything you need. I love you guys. I appreciate you. I'm thankful that you're here. Remember, it's not about perfection. It's about progression. It's not about where we've been, but where we're going.
Yeah.
And we're leaving very soon. I truly believe that in my spirit. Time is short, very short. And we'll be with our King of Kings, our Lord of Lords, our mighty God here very soon. I love you guys. I'll see you on the next one.
Cult in existence has an agenda, and you are its target. These black cubes are found
strong reparative layout over sensitive teeth. Try Sensodyne. It works.
Shut up.
over the world, and the reason behind the oldest cult in existence has an agenda, and you are its target. These black cubes are found all over the world, and the reason behind their existence is much darker than you think. And the cult behind these cubes holds dangerous beliefs that directly affect you and me. Today's video uncovers the secrets of the cult of Saturn and answers pertinent questions like, what is the black cube of Saturn? Why do black cubes show up all over the world? And what is the final goal of this cult? Let's find the answers as we unravel the mystery of Saturn's black cube.
I'm gonna go out on a limb here. Why is everything gone square nowadays? What about Roblox is all squarish, pixely. Pixels are square. Minecraft is all squares. And the square on its edge is a diamond.
Science was supposed to take us forward, but one scientific
A square fits perfectly if you join all the lines inside the Israel flag star, the Jewish Star of David. It draws a cube.
discovery sent researchers more than 2,000 years back in time. Here's what happened. In 1977, NASA launched its Voyager program to send probes into space to observe Jupiter and Saturn. 10 years later, astronomer David Godfrey pieced together flyby views taken by one of the Voyager missions, and what he saw was quite interesting. On top of Saturn's North Pole was a hexagon with a black dot at its center. Further investigation revealed that the sharp-edged structure was actually made up of clouds. Turns out that Saturn's North Pole has a persistent hexagon-shaped storm, and the dot at its center is the eye of that storm. Photos taken 2 decades later would reveal that the storm was changing colors. But the question is, why would this discovery send researchers back in time? Because that's where the answers are. Saturn got its name from the Roman god Saturnus. But even before the Romans came along, this god existed in the Greek pantheon, where he was called Kronos. And his story is not just fascinating, but directly tied to the hexagon-shaped storm on Saturn's North Pole. You see, Kronos overthrew his father, Uranus, and became the ruler of the cosmos. He had replaced his father and taken over his dominion, but what he did not know was that he also inherited his father's fate. A prophecy revealed that just like Uranus was overthrown by one of his children, Kronos too would be overthrown by one of his. After learning about this, Kronos came up with an interesting solution. He started eating his own children, swallowing them whole as soon as they were born to his wife, Rhea. And I must say that Rhea was a true ride or die, as she continued to bear him more children. Hestia, Demeter, Hera, Hades, and Poseidon, a total of 5, all swallowed by Kronos. That's when Rhea had enough and decided to give her next child a fighting chance. That child's name was Zeus. Yes, Zeus, the father of gods. When he was born, his mother hid him and put a stone in his place. She wrapped up the stone in a baby blanket, or whatever the Greeks used at the time. Then she handed it over to Kronos, who swallowed it whole. As far as Kronos was concerned, he had eaten his last child, and was never going to be overthrown. Meanwhile, Zeus was growing up in hiding and preparing to confront his father. And when the time came, he teamed up with Rhea to bring his siblings back. The first step was giving Kronos a potion that made him puke up the 5 children he had swallowed. Once the gods were liberated, they rallied behind Zeus and waged war on Kronos, who was defeated and imprisoned in Tartarus, the Greek version of hell. Now, this whole story is packed with metaphors that tie back to Saturn and its mysterious black cube. First of all, Kronos was the god of time in the Greek pantheon. The Greek word for time, to this day, is Kronos, so it makes sense why he is the father of all the gods, including the chief Zeus. But despite that, he's typically seen as a dark figure, because he is time, and time brings about the scariest thing in existence.
Boy, did I just have a whole bunch of things just go bing, 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 boing, bing, bong. Something that's chronological is chronology, and chronology is that the magic of time? Is that time travel? The science of time travel, chronology. Alright, go away, pattern brain. Go away, you've got enough patterns running around up there.
Existence, death. Perhaps that's why 17th century paintings of Kronos show him wielding a scythe, like the Grim Reaper. However, Kronos is different from the Grim Reaper, because he doesn't just bring death, he also brings about rebirth. Ancient people viewed time as a cyclical phenomenon, and depicted it as a snake or a dragon eating its own tail. This symbol, called the Ouroboros, was found across ancient cultures all over the world, including Egyptian, Greek, and Norse settlements. The similarity between the Ouroboros eating its own tail and Kronos eating his children is obvious, because in either case, consumption leads to renewal. The Ouroboros eats itself only to regenerate and continue eating itself once again. Kronos eats his own children only to regurgitate them and give them a new life. And that belief is the reason behind all the human sacrifices in history. There were times when people sacrificed babies to appease the dark god of time, Kronos, hoping that the death of these innocent children would bring about a bountiful harvest. So it's no coincidence that the primary harvesting tool, the scythe, was so often associated with death. One of the most haunting images featuring the scythe is a painting of Saturnus, who was basically the Roman version of Kronos.
Hence why Jesus came to earth and put an end to blood sacrifice. Condemned it. We weren't ever meant to do it. Wow.
In this painting, the time god can be seen clipping the wings of Cupid. It shows that time doesn't just bring about death, but also erases passion and romance.
It's not finished, but think about it for a minute. Why do they hate Jesus so much? They won't even utter his name. Yeshu acronym. That's just Yeshu. It's an acronym for something, and it's to blot out his name. Yeshu with no vowels. Shu. You. Oh, yep. Wow. Anyway. So he puts an end to blood sacrifice. Because they're not upholding the laws of Torah, they're inverting the laws of Torah. I.e. the Talmud. They're eating their own kids. Epstein style. But excuse me. Yep. Look at me front lawn tomorrow.
The most haunting aspect of the painting is how helpless Cupid is in the terrifying grip of time that doesn't even spare the gods. No wonder the ancients were so terrified of the god of time. It brought them everything they wanted, but it also took away everything they held dear. That's time. A snake eating itself in an endless loop of not just death, but also rebirth. So Kronos, or Saturnus, was a very dark mythological figure. The ancients might have sacrificed hundreds of thousands of children and virgins to different versions of time gods. But why is that relevant to us today? Because worshippers of Kronos live among us, and they have a lot of power. Let's go over the evidence for that, starting with Saturn, which was seen as the throne of Kronos. Remember, the Roman version of Kronos was called Saturnus, and that is where Saturn got its name from. So the worshippers of this terrifying time god used to bow down to the planet Saturn, and whenever they had to sacrifice something or someone, they would put it on a cube-shaped altar. The offering would be burned, and after years of repeated sacrifices, the cube would turn black due to soot, smoke, and ash. That's how the black cube became a symbol of the time god Saturn. What's crazy is that the actual planet Saturn seems to have a cube on its north pole. As you can see, a flattened image of the cube looks like a hexagon, and right on top of Saturn is a giant hexagon made of storm clouds. One of the mysteries of history is how the worshippers of Saturn the god knew that there was a hexagon on top of Saturn the planet. But that's not the main mystery we're here to discuss. What we are here to discuss is the cult that believes in this god and how far it has spread. This is particularly concerning since its main belief is the necessity of sacrifice. What are they sacrificing these days? Are they still sacrificing humans?
Yep.
And where is all of this happening? As far as the public is concerned, paganism was erased by Christianity and other modern religions. But it seems like Saturn worship has persisted in secrecy. The words Saturn, Saturnus, and Kronos have been replaced by one symbol that to this day can be found all over the world. That symbol is the black cube. And it's hard to miss. You can find it in public places like the Alamo in New York, and even in rooms that most people never step into. One of these rooms is the meditation chamber at the UN. If it was just those two, we could chalk it up to a coincidence. But there are way too many cases of this Saturn symbol popping up in significant places, usually close to a center of power, exposure, or worship. But what about the black cubes everywhere else? There are too many of them to be chalked up to coincidence, especially when they share so many characteristics. For starters, they're usually in public places where they can draw a lot of attention. Often they're positioned as art installations, but they're also prominent at memorials. One particular black cube draws a lot of attention because it's located at the UN, more specifically in the meditation room on the first floor of the UN General Assembly in New York. It draws a lot.
That is in that. No shit, that there is in that movie. The Giant King. I'm not even kidding. And it's got all this weird, like, Arabic sort of writing all around the walls, and it lights up. Wow. Him and him go to war. Whoa. I'm getting blown out a bit here.
A lot of attention because it's located at the UN. More specifically, in the meditation room on the first floor of the UN General Assembly in New York. It seems like these black cubes are deliberately placed in areas where they can soak up emotional energy.
By the way, that movie is it's based on an Indonesian ancient religious story. Yeah, wow. Between a couple of gods, a war between a couple of gods.
From places of worship and meditation to places of celebration and mourning, these black cubes show up everywhere. And that includes movies like The Avengers, 2001: Space Odyssey, and Hellraiser. Now the question is, why? Why do black cubes pop up in so many places and across such a vast time period? Why are cubes shown in movies as powerful foreign objects? And finally, why is there a cube-like storm on the top of Saturn, the planet worshipped by the cult of Kronos? As we dive into the theories, I want to start with my favorite, the cult of Saturn theory.
This also has to do with the Jewish Cabal, as above, so below.
The idea here is that the prominence of black cubes all over the world ties back to a single cult that has international influence, and that's the cult of Saturn. It's historically proven that there was once a cult dedicated to the worship of Saturn. They saw him as a symbol of time, death, and transformation. To them, he was not an evil entity, but a much-needed aspect of reality. The theory part is that this cult went underground when paganism was replaced by newer religions. In hiding, members of this cult continued to propagate their ideas across generations. They also kept up appearances, adopting whatever religion was in vogue until they amassed enough power to make and break governments, schedule war and peace, and, above all, dictate culture. This ties in with all types of theories regarding secret societies, deep state, and a one-world shadow government. But what makes the cult of Saturn different is their view of the world, which they see as a limited existence trapped in the cycle of time. No matter how free you are, you can never transcend time. You can never defeat it. Your life begins and ends in the endless stream of time. In other words, you are trapped by time. The black cube represents this trapped reality. Spiritualists have tried to transcend this material reality and achieve nirvana. Christians believe in living with God through faith and grace.
I said Kabbalah. Saturn's all in there. I'm going to have to read this properly. I've never actually read it. Because it's got some weird stuff in here. It's got... goes about tarot. They invented tarot. Did you know that? They invented tarot cards. I'm not even kidding, this is crazy. My mum's into all this weird shit, you know. They invented that shit. Look at this. Apparently that's a magic amulet that cures jaundice.
Almost every religion revolves around something greater than what this material world has to offer. This is very different from the attitude that Saturn worshippers have regarding humanity's purpose. They believe that being trapped in time is a good thing, and that limitation is a necessity because humanity cannot be trusted with transcendence. They view the Tower of Babel as evidence that humans should not try to transcend their animal nature. In the Bible, Nimrod wanted to build a tower with the goal of reaching the heaven. God punished his arrogance by destroying the tower and scattering its builders. The lesson most people take from the story of the Tower of Babel is that arrogance is a sin that invites God's wrath, and that the only way to reach heaven is to deserve it. No building, elevator, or plane will take you there. But the lesson that the cult of Saturn takes from this story is that trying to get away from one's animal nature is a sin, that humans don't deserve to be in heaven, and that this limited existence on Earth is all that they should be concerned with. So the goal of this cult is to hijack cultural, religious, and political movements to punish materialism. If you've noticed a steady decline in spiritualism and social grace, the cult of Saturn might be the reason. What I like about this theory is that it is quite grounded. We're living in an age where people are becoming replaceable.
Yeah. If you can see that shape, can you see that? Have you noticed that on their necklaces, their jewellery that they wear? Fold that up and you get a cube with a triangle inside it.
Values are shifting drastically, and chasing money and material success is more important than ever, and that makes this theory feel real. But real can be boring, so let's go to the most entertaining theory, the simulation theory. If you're a fan of this channel, you might already know what the simulation theory is. It's basically the idea that our entire world might be a giant computer simulation. But how is that possible? Everything around us feels so real. Well, proponents of this theory argue that we're programmed to perceive everything as real, but that ultimately we're in a giant matrix. The black cube in this context represents that matrix. Some suggest that the planet Saturn is the control center of the simulation. Others believe that Saturn itself isn't as relevant as the black cubes, which soak up the emotional energy on which our simulation runs. While this theory sounds more like a piece of science fiction than a worldview, it does have its strong points. Let's start with the fact that we are only 2% smarter than chimpanzees, and think about how much more technologically advanced we are compared to them. Now imagine if our creator was just 2% smarter than us. How much more technologically advanced would he be? If we can design immersive games with AI-powered characters, he can surely design a simulation in which we are the AI-powered characters. And of course,
I would argue that we're not that far advanced in the sense we designed something that then evolved itself technologically to design it for us. Kind of like, we know how to make a calculator, but we don't know why it works. We know how to put the bits together, but we don't know why it works. We might even know the how, but we don't know why.
If that's the case, we wouldn't even know that we are not in reality, because the simulation would be the only reality we know. Crazy and mind-boggling, I know, but it could be the truth. A less sci-fi version of this theory is the dimension jumping theory, which many physicists believe.
I think we're starting to get into Epstein territory here. Do a bit of Zionism.
This theory suggests that there might be higher dimensions to our reality that we are unable to access and even understand. If our universe is like a page, then a higher dimension would be like a book, and an even higher dimension would be like a bookshelf. And we could keep going from bookshelf to library and so on. The possibility of higher dimensions is an idea that most physicists subscribe to. However, the dimension jumping theory goes beyond that and suggests that we might be able to jump from our reality to a higher dimension. Imagine a character drawn on paper, a 2D character, coming to life in our 3D space. It's hard to even imagine that, but some physicists believe that humans can pull it off if they can just create a portal to the next dimension. A portal that many believe would look like a cube. Not only is this portal being worked on, but those creating it are also manipulating the masses into accepting the upcoming change. It's no secret that movies and TV shows are used to normalize certain patterns of thinking, like back in 1968, 2001, A Space Odyssey was released. Then, the next year, we landed on the moon. Americans cheered the development because they had come to expect it. And that's the idea with every major development, like smartphones and AI. Each time, the development is rolled out in movies and TV shows. This creates familiarity and primes the masses to accept the upcoming change. In other words, what you see in movies and TV shows is very carefully designed to nudge people toward an idea. With that in mind, look at the countless movies where a cubic object is shown as a gateway to transformation and power. The Space Odyssey, which we just talked about, has the monolith. Then there's the lament configuration in Hellraiser. And a more recent example is the Tesseract in the first Avengers movie. This cubic object is central to the plot, and it can be used to create portals and open wormholes. That's exactly the kind of ability we would need to escape this dimension. But what if those in power are not interested in helping us ascend to a higher dimension? What if they want to enslave our consciousness? This brings us to the cubic singularity, which is the scariest theory in this video, mainly because of how close it is to reality.
Change is inevitable, unless you decide it isn't. For over 70 years.
In this version, the prominence of the black cubes is a symbol for what's going on behind the scenes. A group of very powerful people who operate from the shadows is building a giant quantum computer to enslave our consciousness. It hits close to home because the moment you open TikTok or Instagram Reels, you experience having your consciousness enslaved by a digital algorithm. Your willpower is defeated by the platform. Now imagine if its algorithm was 100 times more powerful. You would literally spend your entire day plugged into it. Well, quantum computers could be millions of times more powerful than today's supercomputers, so the algorithms that run on those machines would be able to trap us all in a giant mega algorithm. Now, here's the creepy part. Almost every computer starts off as a black cube. The Next Cube, championed by Steve Jobs, was one of the most advanced computers of its time. Currently, the D-Wave quantum computers are some of the most cutting-edge devices on the planet, and they too are shaped like a black cube. Whether these machines would be used to trap our consciousness or not isn't even a question. Literally, every tech company is fighting to monopolize all of your time and attention. The theory part of it is the motivation. Why are those in power so adamant about turning us into semi-conscious zombies? Well, that's what the worshippers of Saturn want. They want humans to bow down to their animal nature and to stay trapped in the material reality and the loop of time. This also brings us to the Gnostic belief in the demiurge, or the false god. The Gnostic theory is really a religious belief held by the pre-Christian Gnostics. They didn't see our world as the real world. They saw it as a flawed reality created by one of the lesser gods who wanted to be worshipped and admired. But in creating this reality, the demiurge produced a world with pain and suffering. Then the goddess of wisdom, Sophia, managed to inject some of the spirit of the true God into the flawed humans created by the Demiurge. But humans, created by divine touch, humans got the capacity to transcend materialism and achieve spiritual actualization. However, they also had the animal part that would always tug them towards their base instincts. History, according to Gnostics, is just a giant tug-of-war between humanity's higher nature and its lower nature. And the cult of Saturn is actually the cult of the Demiurge. They see him as the true God and believe that humans trying to attain spiritual enlightenment are arrogant. That's why they work together to promote materialism and soulless consumption. And the black cube is just a symbol of their power. It asserts the idea that we are trapped in this reality, and that's where they plan to keep us. And the scary part is, I think they're winning. To be honest, all of these are fascinating theories that make you question things, but ultimately they are just that. Theories. You can believe them or reject them, but not without looking at both sides. So let's dive into the criticism of these theories. For starters, the connection between the black cube and Saturn is pretty weak. Traditionally, the scythe was the symbol of Kronos or Saturn. The idea that Saturn's cult later adopted the black cube is based on circumstantial evidence. The sacrificial altars for burnt offerings would eventually turn black, and Saturn was often the recipient of burnt offerings. But to say that the black cube became a symbol of Saturn is just an educated guess. Then there's the fact that we don't have any evidence of a higher dimension or a portal being created for said dimension. The closest thing we have to a portal opening device is the Large Hadron Collider at CERN. It accelerates particles that collide at super high speeds, and one day it might be able to create a small black hole. Oh, and by the way, outside of CERN is the statue of the Hindu goddess of destruction, Shiva. That's very comforting. Anyway, my point is that a portal opening cube is a reality only in movies. You can see it as a sign of public priming and argue that it will eventually be rolled out in the real world, but the truth is that we do not have concrete evidence of that. Although, if the higher-ups, aka One World Government, did have concrete evidence, they wouldn't show us. So there's that. But what is the critics' explanation for so many black cubes found all over the world? They would say that the cube is one of the simplest geometric structures to construct, and given that humans tend to go with the path of least resistance, it makes perfect sense that so many cubes would pop up. They're just too easy to make. As for the hexagon-shaped storm on Saturn, they believe that it's perfectly normal for geometric shapes to show up in nature, and that the hexagon storm has nothing to do with the cubes on Earth. Now, the question is, do you find this explanation more believable than the theories we've discussed? Let me know in the comments. Personally, I find it weird that we just accept the same black cube showing up in so many places without even thinking twice about it, especially when there's so much dark mythology around the motif. Honestly, if you ask me for my own opinion, I'd say the critics' reason sounds more unbelievable than all the theories proposed so far. Sure, I might not know the actual motives, whether it's simulation, dimension jumping, or cult, but I do know it's very weird. That I know. But if you think I'm just being paranoid, you can let me know in the comments, and I'll
You think about it. Obviously, I mean, there's so much of that that's in here. The Jewish Kabbalah. Everything's going digital. Artificial intelligence, quantum physics, quantum computing, AI. We're doing away with all our jobs. Kicking your jibs. We're becoming irrelevant. You can go and upload your consciousness unconsciously if you like. Personally, I'm getting on the ark. I'm going to Jerusalem, baby. The real Jerusalem. It's obvious, like you got Peter Thiel going on about his Antichrist seminars, Larry Ellison, Donald Trump now hanging out at the Wailing Wall, sticking notes in it. Do you think maybe Charlie Kirk was one of the notes put in that Wailing Wall? As it turns out that what that actually is that's supposedly the gateway to hell. And why else would they call it the Wailing Wall? There will be wailing and gnashing of teeth. As you notice, I'm not the fast talker like a lot of people. Don't just jump to conclusions. And quite often, I'll present it as a hypothesis because I don't have all the facts yet. Because I really don't like being wrong. Doesn't mean I have to be right. But I'm always willing to correct myself. But when I know I'm right, you won't change my mind. That is what it is. And one thing I know is, whatever that is, that ain't good. Do you need to understand that? I don't think so, not that much. I think you only need to recognise it for what it is. Not good. Keep those lanterns full of oil, people. Obey the 10 Commandments to the best of your ability. It's hard in today's day and age, I know. Especially the way that, look, I'm just going to come out in a minute and say it, women are beautiful. And they get around like fleshed billboards and then wonder why you look at them. They get around like neon signs with boobs and then wonder why you look at them. Anyway. God bless us. God bless us all.